Hey, YouTube, Con Kraken. We're back. It's been a bit doing another Nintendo Switch controller tutorial video. Look, the D-pad on the Nintendo Switch isn't the best. It's too sensitive is the main issue. It's not the worst D-pad in the world, but a lot of people will accidentally hit an up and down when they're only trying to hit left or right. Or they'll get left and right when they try to hit up and down. You'll especially notice this in Tetris 99 or fighting games. Let me know in the comments if you had trouble. Look, this isn't too hard to do. You're only going to need a few tools. Small Phillips screwdriver to get in there. Take the screws out. There's two screws at the bottom, a bunch of screws on the inside. We'll go through them all. You're going to need some kind of thin tape. Maybe magic tape or scotch tape. In my experience, this is a little too thick. Electrical tape. Don't want to use that. You want to use something almost paper thin. I used magic tape. Scotch tape will probably work too. Go ahead and undo two of the bottom screws in the handle. Have some place to keep your screws. I'm going to keep them right in there, see? Don't lose your screws now. You might want to have a pair of tweezers. If you got fingernails, you might not need the tweezers. These slide off. They might be kind of gunky if it's the first time you've ever done it. You can clean the gunk off. I've done this already before. I've tried it out. Make sure it would work. There's 4 screws in here. I didn't replace every screw, spoiler. You at home, only certain screws are really important. This is just for the battery cover. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Doesn't really need the screws when those handles are on. Pop the little battery out. Now, there are some screws that are important, and those are the motherboard screws. You definitely want to put those back in. You don't want that to flex. There's 2 ribbon cables in here, but you don't even have to detach them. If you do detach them, that's where the tweezers would come in. The tweezers would make it a lot easier. If you see, it pops open like this, kind of like a clam. Don't worry about detaching the ribbon cable. Once you've opened it for the first time, you'll break some adhesive. The next time it won't be too hard. But what we're trying to do here is we're going to remove these silver screws. Now you can just prop it open like this. Maybe have something to keep it from falling. Let's grab. Let's just grab something to prop it up. Got this little box here. That's good enough. So you're going to want to remove these silver screws. But there's more screws to get in here. Like, you're going to have to remove every screw the first time, but I bet you're smart. I don't have to show them all to you. If it falls over, it's no big deal. Like, I'm trying to film at the same time. These 4 silver screws you definitely want to put back in, and you definitely want to have the 2 screws for the handle. But other than that, leave it up to you if you want to replace it again. If you plan on going into the controller again, I wouldn't do it. You might need to one day. Here's the other ribbon cable. This one's really small, but you don't have to remove that one either if you keep all the parts close together. As you see now, I've done remove that. The buttons can be kept right in the shell if you open it. Let gravity do its job. Won't even have to know about where the buttons go. But if the buttons do come loose, you can't really put them in the wrong spot. They all got their own shape. Now if you see closely, we got 4 pieces of tape here. That's the magic tape. You don't want it to touch the pivot. I tried, that'll mess it up. It'll just make it a little too far away. But put the tape about halfway. See, you see little tiny notches. If you put the tape about halfway over all these circles, you are going to no longer have accidental inputs, and it'll still be just as sensitive. It felt great, and I'll prove it to you on camera, but just don't forget how to put it back together. Like putting it back together, you want to just have it the way we did it before. Just kind of bring the sandwich piece over, bada bing. Don't even got to replace any buttons. It all just slide together. And you'll notice here, this peg will be in that little U shape. Once it's down in there, you know you got it in the right spot. Now, like, for real, remember what I say. You don't got to put back in every screw, but you want these screws in because they hold the buttons together. These are the most important ones. The other ones are kind of just, they'll hold the battery cover in. And Nintendo designed this controller in such a way they could have saved money on screws. Like, really, it's quite elegant, the shape. Make sure you put it in that hole there. Four silver screws, most important. I've known skateboarders to only use 2 bolts in their trucks for each truck, like put it across. I think that's crazy. Oh, we already got them all. Was it 4 screws or 3 screws? Maybe it was just 3 silver screws. I think it was just 3. Why'd I count 4? Yeah, it was just 3 silver screws. Boom, boom, and boom. That's enough. Buttons over here. D-pad over here. Check it. Close it up just like that. Boom. It's back together. Give it a little press. Pop the battery back in. Battery cover. You can put the screws back in if you want. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I didn't use them all. So there's 9 screws I didn't really show you how to remove. But I have a feeling you'll figure it out. This is mainly to show the secret sauce, the tape technique, and to prove it'll work. Just make sure, look at the front, make sure all the buttons can press. Yep. Slide our little things back on. These are, like, the design of the Pro Controller is actually pretty great. It's just the components on the inside could have been done better. I like tweezers. God hand tweezers from Japan. You don't need anything that fancy. Dollar Tree, Revlon, something like that will do fine. Don't even really need... You gotta have the screwdriver and the tape. That's the bare minimum. You gotta be able to, like, work a screwdriver. Come on, Kraken. There we go. Look, this background here, if you haven't seen it yet, one of my most popular videos, this controller still works. That's the controller I use in the video. WD-40 it when the drift comes back, makes the drift go away. I recommend the silicone WD-40, but any of it will work. The silicone one lasts longer though. Alright, it's back together, things are lighting up. Let me pull out the switch. turn off my headlamp. Let's turn on the switch. But see, look at the input reader. Perfect. It works perfect. Before, I would try to do a quarter circle forward and it would give me up and I would jump sometimes. Like 40 to 50% of the time. I know y'all at home have had trouble. This proves you can fix the trouble with just a little tape. Nintendo, why didn't you test this controller with some game that demanded D-pad functionality? Now your D-pad's gonna be perfect. And here, just to add icing on the cake, let me just show you, like, I got no drift because of WD-40. See, nothing's wrong. The sticks never had an issue. This one I use a lot more. WD, that was just bonus. Anyway, this helps you out. This made your D-pad better. Let me know in the comments. Don't be lacking on that kind cracking.